Hello and welcome back. In the last two videos, I compared and contrasted two different ways of seeing the world and two corresponding forms of government. We can call these two views the hierarchical view and the fairness view. For fairness people, the purpose of government is to increase fairness, which happens through regulations, rule of law, that treats all people equally and gives all people equal access. Hierarchy people don't believe fairness and equality are possible. Mussolini said democracy is beautiful in theory, but in practice, it's a fallacy. If you don't believe equality is possible, the winner is the person who gains power. Professor Stanley, who studies fascism, says fascism is a set of tactics for gaining power. Franklin Delano Roosevelt defined fascism as ownership of government by an individual, a group, or another controlling private power, which is basically what happens when you privatize government to the point where the government is essentially owned by private individuals. Oligarchy, to define our terms, is when the government is in the hands of a few people who own the government. So, oligarchy is the form of government that happens when a few people gain power and solidify their place at the top of the hierarchy and come to essentially own the government. So when fairness presidents go to work, they do things like create health care for everyone, they expand voting rights, create a progressive tax code, things that help everybody, help people come up from the bottom. Fascists and would-be oligarchs can't do that, because if everyone has equal access, you don't have a hierarchy anymore. So how do they govern? Russian philosopher Ivan Ilyin explains how to do it. Timothy Snyder writes about Ilyin in his book, The Road to Unfreedom. He was a Russian nobleman who went into exile after the Communist Revolution. He admired Hitler and Mussolini. He admired order. The nation, for Ilyin, was like a body. The citizens are the cells. Each remains in his place. The foot cell doesn't try to be a brain cell, and the brain cell doesn't want to be a foot cell and wouldn't even try. He believed in a natural order. He also, for this reason, believed that fascism would eventually replace both communism and democracy. Ilyin disliked the middle class, which he saw as always striving for social advancement. He believed this fractured society and created chaos. He thought the rulers at the top should rule and everybody else should be at the bottom. He wrote guidelines for Russian leaders who would come to power after the fall of communism so they would know how to be good fascists. Putin follows his guidelines, and people like Trump have imitated Putin. Okay, so for Ilyin, the task of the oligarch is to preserve the status quo, which means preserving their own wealth and power, keeping other people in their place. But you can't tell the people that, so you tell them a good story. You tell them that the oligarchs are redeemers with a mythic connection to the destiny of the nation, and that they will do battle with the nation's enemies. The fascist leader distracts everyone with these battles, so they don't have time to think anymore about why they don't have health care. Okay, so so they create spectacle, they create crisis. Now, made-up enemies are the safest. We know that from George Orwell. 20th century fascists really went to war, and that was their undoing. 21st century fascists prefer harmless or made-up enemies. That way the fascist leader doesn't have to worry about getting hurt or having his property damaged. Trump preferred harmless enemies, those homeless migrant families at the border. The followers are so busy cheering on their leader, the strongman, who is busy doing battle with the enemies, that they don't have time to wonder why they don't have better health care, or why they're getting sick, or why they don't have the same quality of health care as people at the top. There's something they want more. They want safety and order restored. They want their enemies vanquished. Now the enemy is Antifa. Now, no matter how low you are in the hierarchy, there are people lower trying to take what's yours. The migrants at the border are perfect. Very, very low on the hierarchy, trying to come up and take what belongs to real Americans. So Trump basically did what would-be oligarchs do. He gave tax breaks to himself and his pals, and he riled up his followers against Black Lives Matter, implying that blacks are trying to upset the natural order and take over the top of the hierarchy. Now, there are so many things wrong with that, but the point is that hierarchy people see a desire for equality as a threat to order. And crisis and spectacle is how would-be oligarchs govern. Now, the main way they gain and solidify power is through lies, but that's a big topic, so I'll probably break it into a few parts in the next few videos. I hope you're finding these helpful. Thank you.